Hello and welcome to this Learneezee video on how to prepare for the IELTS exam. So today we're going to go through the first of the speaking tasks, speaking task number 1. And I hope by the end of today's video that you have a really clear idea of what you need to do to get a good result in this first question. Now, if you find this video helpful, then as always, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're interested in doing some individual preparation or a group class to help you prepare for the IELTS, then please visit learneezee.com and register your interest, and we'd be more than happy to help you to improve your result for the IELTS. So let's get started. Okay, so first of all, how does the speaking test work? Well, here is a picture of a typical speaking exam. This is actually from YouTube, so you could have a look at this whole speaking exam if you're interested. And typically what you're asked to do is to talk about yourself and to always tell some small stories. So the examiners are really interested in your ability to explain things and give rationale, to talk about your usual behavior and why you do things the way you do them. You're also asked to make a lot of comparisons between maybe yourself now and in the past, or maybe even to think about yourself in the future. So a lot of the exam is focused on you and your personal opinions. And that makes it a lot easier because you can use content from your own experience. And in fact, that's what the examiners want you to do. Now, how do they actually set up the speaking task? Well, it's quite short. It's only 11 to 14 minutes. And there are 3 major parts. And today we're going to look at part 1, which is the introduction. So in the introduction, it's all about you, your experiences in life, your job or your studies, what are your interests, what do you normally do on the weekend, on a Friday night, on your holidays, these kinds of questions. And it takes about 4 or 5 minutes. And let's have a look at what the examiners are really looking for in your spoken English. So first of all, and I think probably the key issue is fluency and coherence. So if you can speak fluently, if you can logically develop an answer and explain yourself clearly and give rationale without too much hesitation, then you're going to do pretty well in the IELTS exam. Even if your ideas are not that good, even if you make a few grammatical errors, if you can speak fluently and have a well-supported, well-developed answer, then you'll do well. So Band 9, which is the top IELTS answer, as you can see here, it says that the person taking the test rarely repeats themselves, that they only self-correct on a few occasions. There may be content-related hesitation. That means you're thinking about what you want to say, but it's not structural hesitation in that you're not hesitating because you're looking for a word, or you're hesitating because you're not sure how to structure the sentence, or you start a sentence and then you're a little bit unsure about how to grammatically complete your sentence. So to get in Band 9, you can't have any of those kinds of hesitations. If you occasionally do it, then you'll drop down to Band 8, and if it's more frequent, then Band 7. The other category is lexical resources. So this is all about vocabulary, how flexibly you can use the English language. Do you just use adjectives like nice or good, or can you use more expressive words or perhaps even idiomatic expressions, common phrases that are used in English to talk about certain ideas. The third category is grammar, and of course this is important, and more than just not making mistakes, if you want to get a good mark, then you have to show a flexible use of grammatical resources. And this means that you don't just use the simple past, but that you also use more complex sentences or more complex forms of grammar to talk about your experiences. Lastly is pronunciation, and I would recommend here always slowing down when you speak and always trying to integrate some pauses into your sentences. So before an important word, before an important adjective, before you give an example, always put a little pause in to help the listener hear the separation of the words and also to give your answer more emphasis. So let's have a look at speaking task number 1. So how does it work? Well, the key skill here is, well, in fact, all through the IELTS speaking test, is that you can support your answer with an example, that you can illustrate your idea with an explanation and a concrete illustration of that explanation. Now, that explanation in the first part will always be connected with your own life, your own experience, or perhaps someone you know. But it's really important that you go from this general statement. For example, let's look at question 1. It says, do you have a large or small family? Well, I myself, I have a pretty large family. I have 2 brothers, and maybe that doesn't seem large to you, but by today's standards, actually 3 children would be considered, I think, a large family. Both my parents also have multiple siblings, so my father has 1 brother and 2 sisters, and my mother has 2 sisters, and they all have children. So actually, my family is quite big when you compare it to today's standards. In fact, the last time we all got together, which was maybe 10 or 15 years ago, I think there were about 50 or 60 people there. So I would consider that a large family. So if you noticed when I answered that first question, I had a general statement. Well, I think I have a large family. Then I explained it and I compared it to something which is more common today. So if you say something is large, then you're obviously comparing it to something else. And I chose to compare it to what a family is like today. And then I tried to give an example of that as well by talking about the last time my family got together. And at the end, I finished just with a little conclusion by, again stating my thesis, which is, so I guess I have a large family. So I suppose I have a large family by today's standards. So that's a little example of what I mean by a general statement, an explanation of why you think that's the case, and then supporting that with an example. You should speak for, maximum 30 seconds, 20 to 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit shorter. But you always need to go through this process to explain and give rationale and examples for your answer. And if you can do that, then you'll do very well in this first part of the IELTS exam. So I hope that's given you a couple of ideas for how to prepare yourself for part 1 of the speaking test. If you're interested in getting more ideas about how to prepare yourself, then please hit subscribe, because I'm going to be creating more videos about the speaking task. And if you're interested in doing some individual classes or perhaps a group lesson, then please visit www.learneezee.com, where you can register your interest, and then one of our representatives will contact you. Okay, so good luck with your preparation and see you in the next video.